Howdy, neighbors. After a recent train accident, conversation finally got around to dioxins in the environment. Now, if you're aware of burning plastics and the results of it, you're kind of aware of dioxins and the potential for it to generate, burning plastic to generate dioxins. It's kind of just a fact. Dioxins are considered a POP, persistent organic pollutant, I believe. Capital P-O-P, POPs. Another term for kind of forever chemicals. Things that you don't want to be near. But the unique thing about dioxins, unlike the plastics and the other things that we hear about, dioxins cause cancers. It's not a question, it's an answer to many cancers, is dioxin exposure. This is another vector for cancer-causing agents. So it's not just radiation. I've talked a lot about radiation. It's about pollution. It's about things called sacrifice zones. Whole towns and cities and workforces living in a sacrifice zone. So this dioxin question, one of the things that came up in watching that accident in Ohio and some of the responses was a team was hired to go investigate the houses for safety, health hazards. The team brought in a VOC analyzer, volatile organic compounds analyzer, basically looking for things that can burn. Now, there are other things in that class of volatile organics, but that's a simple descriptor for it, very simple. So we'll leave that there. But a VOC tester cannot test for dioxins. The dioxins are most likely in the dust and the microparticles generated in the ash and the soot from those burning materials, those burning plastics. And each plastic has a unique class of dioxins it may or may not give off depending upon the type of plastic. In this case, it was a may. It is a will. It is a known. It's just how it works, right? But it comes down to a risk of your exposure to it. One of the ways these risks show up is in health records. Health records across whole regions and whole cities and towns and counties and states that show where a high percentage of specific types of diseases are. In one class, it's a sentinel watch system. We use this idea of monitoring, reporting back to a central location in order to detect diseases in herd animals. Right? Swine flu, avian flu, things like that. If we can catch it before it gets too loose, we have things we can do about it, right? So these dioxins, if you go look, simple Google, hard Google actually, very detailed Google, is look for how do you test for dioxins. You will not find a volatile organic test instrument included in that small list of ways to test for dioxins. These are dust tests, these are surface tests, these are ground tests. You dig down in the earth to see how far that dioxin has migrated into the soils. You might watch where else it might migrate to, depending on how much we know about these things, and we know a lot. But on the good side, on a positive side, our current president, Mr. Biden, has told major polluters they need to clean up their act. These are institutions, corporations, manufacturing, chemical plants, all sorts of classes of polluters across America have been told to clean up their act, finally. Finally, this has been decades, generations in coming, but that's a different conversation and article. Although I've talked about how corporations avoided having to put upgrades into their emissions facilities, emissions portion of their facilities, by simply not opening up big projects. Keep the projects small in pieces instead of doing major renovations, and you avoid being forced into the cost of pollution controls. So that's how it works, folks. Another piece of it. Anyway, hope you're having a good day. I'm a Lexus mechanic right now, so peace is out. Be good.